This is Brownie's Podcast.
Hey, we're all back in the studio. And what's with anyone else seen Dog driving around the great city of Melbourne in that Ferrari limo?
Well, I was pretty sure that we were going to the fights a few months ago, courtesy of Exotic Limos in like a big stretch red Ferrari. I didn't know there was such a thing.
We had him on board, so that guy said anytime that we want to use him, no worries, we hit him up. We can go anywhere in the city in this red Ferrari.
Have you been dogging us?
Well, you used the word we. Now, on the weekend, Brown Dog forgot about the word we, and he went with I.
You've been
instead.
seeing the Ferrari guy behind our back, you piece of...
You betrayed us.
Big shout out to Tim from Exotic
Oh,
Limos.
your best mate,
Come
Timmy.
on.
6:30. It's hard to leave Caulfield. There's some roadworks around the area, making it difficult for taxis and.
Where did
It's
you
even
go in
harder
the-
leaving a car that's 15 metres long.
we walked out the front, and there it was, the red limo. The doors went up,
Oh, yes.
and I rolled in there with 5 or 6 of my mates, my schoolmates.
Good guess.
Vossi, Michael Voss, the Carlton.
He was in there.
Yeah, he was in there,
Stop
mate.
it. The current Carlton coach is in the limo.
He was in the limo with me, so
You know what?
he drove us around town for an hour. The deal that we'd orchestrated, but we
prick.
couldn't put together ourselves.
You absolute prick.
The three of us are like Hawthorn, and you've just betrayed us and left us to go to Gold Coast. And you're pathetic, and we hate you.
Mate, you probably, left shit in it. You'll probably see some of your
Empty
old
cans.
shit.
Yeah, I left empty cans.
Hey,
Yeah.
we got a big podcast. Brodie is the only one that understands this mega trade deal, the biggest one in history. I got a firearm pointed at me in the city. That's coming
What?
up later on. Dog's idea. I didn't even know what Dog's idea is. That's coming up. But first, you want to get straight into this super mega deal? Because no one knows what it means apart from you, Pomeroy.
Yeah, so this is actually the best part of the year. I know that you guys pretend to like football, but the trade time is truly the best part of the year. There's an entire radio station dedicated to trade time called AFL
It's real
Trade
footy
Radio.
nuffies.
It is.
Isn't it?
Nah, it's so good.
It's where fringe players, ordinary players, want to go to another club to rejuvenate their careers that
Just
have
half
been
of
quite
it-
lackluster today.
Yeah, you're right. Luke Jackson. Yeah, you're right.
Just half
He's a
of-
fringe player at
He
best.
didn't get a kick in the second half of the year.
Does half of the shit that they say on Tradio not come true?
Most of it.
All of it. All of it's just nothing to see here. Watch this space. It's so much of that.
Dog's an SEN track operator.
Yeah.
Does he ever get called into it? Every now and again, do they ever just lean on you to say, would you come over to SEN Trade Radio?
Never. No, the trade period's not my time. You know, as
Not
soon
your
as
time to shine.
as soon as the final siren
When is
sounds,
your time?
grand final day, I forget footy, right? I forget it. I move straight into racing, and I reckon my time to shine is between October 1st to probably end of the Super Bowl.
Mate, trade
Jan-
period's
mid-
boring
mid-Feb.
as shit. It's fun to watch the first game and go, oh, Junior Rioli's in a pork
I
jumper.
know, and
that's the fun
Oh,
part.
we've got 3 second-round draft picks in 2024
Snore.
that we can use. Like, who gives
Kill
a
me.
shit?
But this is amazing, Dog. You haven't witnessed this. Brodie is the only nufty that knows every movement in this
Everything.
mega deal. Take it away, points bet.
So yesterday went down the biggest trade in the history of the AFL trade period. Jason Horne-Francis, a former number 1 draft pick, has departed North Melbourne on his way to Port Adelaide. Joining him will be Junior Rioli from West Coast. And the way this has transpired is that they have also traded in this year's first draft pick. They have given that to GWS, and GWS in exchange have given picks 2 and 3. And West Coast have traded in and now have pick 8 and pick 12, plus Port Adelaide's next year's first rounder. And that is all tied together in this beautiful little symmetry. But it also happened yesterday is Luke Jackson has departed Melbourne and has gone to Freo. And a part of that is that Brodie Grundy will now leave Collingwood and come to Melbourne to replace Luke Jackson in that. But the one that's still out pending is Josh Dunkley to Brisbane, because there is a lot gone under the bridge. They traded out from pick 24, and they said that was going to be our pick. So now they have less picks to satisfy the Western Bulldogs. But Brisbane are like, wow, they've just brought in Jack Gunston as well. So now they're going, how the hell are we going to do that? And suffice for Fletcher and Will Ashcroft to get the same amount of points in the father-son to be able to accommodate that and Josh Dunkley trade. And the other ones that are Eva Radagalier from Geelong. Now they said, we don't want pick 33, that's too high. But they're not playing the man, and they've only offered pick 27 for Oliver Henry. So they've said, Collingwood, no way, that can't happen. So now Eva is going to be offered pick 33 from Port Adelaide and will join Geelong because they're not playing him. I'm sorry, a player's merit is only if they're playing in the game. Oliver Henry, still TBC. They might even send him to the preseason draft where he can join any other club because they're not sufficing him in a trade.
Wow.
A couple of points. There's a bit of beautiful mind about that with Russell Crowe. It was an amazing synopsis of what's happened and gone down. And since when Is Radagalere's name Eva?
Sure.
Last time I checked, there was a Sava Radigalere.
Yeah, but casual Eva.
Hey,
shorten it.
Really?
Yeah,
His
abbreviation.
teammates, does anyone in his close circle call him Eva?
Yeah, mate, he loves it. I have
I wouldn't have thought so.
on strong authority that he loves it.
That
strong
was some
authority.
intense shit, and I didn't listen to half of it. I was just enjoying the show, really.
I'm going to assume that all the numbers you said were correct. The only thing that
I
has
like to
left me
fact check.
confused, right? Left me very, very confused. Your numbers are right, your names are right, your clubs are right. What about the salary dump? What the salary
Bowes to
plays?
Geelong?
The salary plays a big part in who's taking what, Grundy and Jackson, and you didn't tell us anything about that.
Okay, would you like me to begin?
Yes.
Gold Coast have shifted out Jack Bowes to Geelong, and there was a number of takers that were interested in Jack Bowes, but Geelong had originally shown interest in Jack Bowes before they were offered, because the way to get rid of this big salary, because they suppose that he's on $850,000 for the next 2 years, and that's a big contract for anyone to take on. So they have offered dangled pick 7 with Jack Bowes as a tight little package, a little present, and said anyone that takes him and takes a salary also gets pick 7. And Geelong actually expressed interest in Jack Bowes early in the year before that pick 7 was on the trade table. So he said, they actually care about me, so I'm going there. So all the other teams, the likes of Hawthorn, Essendon, Brisbane, have consequently missed out on Jack Bowes because they hadn't expressed trade in him early. So now he has gone to Geelong, and they have extended his contract out over 4 to 5 years to try and smooth out his contract, because they can't take on the initial $850,000 over 2 years because that would blow out their salary cap. So now Jack Bowes has joined Gold Coast.
Choke on that, dog.
Oh my God. You are a bigger nuffy than I ever gave you credit for.
We need to get him drug tested, you reckon?
Mate, you're methed up to the eyeballs.
Mate.
That's unbelievable.
Thank you.
And is any of that interesting to you?
All of it.
Way into this cup, please.
Yes. Oh, your urine is glowing. I've
Yes,
never seen that.
I've only ever seen that once when we drug tested Willie Rio.
He's a Port Adelaide man now, so you can't say that.
And his
I'll be
name-
checking Brodie's house. I'm pretty sure there'd be sand shoes hanging over the power lines just out the front of your joint.
Broad's well covered. Now, what is this nightmare Saturday you've got?
Oh,
written down?
this is actually a nightmare. So we had a friend's birthday on. I can actually slow down speaking now.
Yeah, just chill. Hey,
That voice you put
Let's
on
just take
was-
a breath.
have a
Yeah,
chill,
we're in
yeah.
the off season. We don't need to rush through these things.
So on
No,
Saturday,
have a breath. Come on.
Yeah.
on Saturday, a friend of mine, Sarah, was having her 29th birthday. Sarah and I have been friends for
Mistress or?
no, just friends. 15 years, I reckon. And Sarah's throwing a party, all right? And so it started early in the day. And we sat there, there's a few drinking games going on. We're all having a lot of fun. The music blaring. Anyway, the day passes. The sun goes down. Beautiful. It's about 10:30 at night. And we're a bit weary after this because we've been there, a good 10 hours.
You're
or something.
cooked.
We are cooked. Yeah, we're cooked. And so we're there, and for some reason, firstly, Sarah and I, we always have a bit of a play wrestle. Her boyfriend Jimmy's a good mate of mine too. But Sarah and I always have a bit of a play wrestle because we've known each other since we were kindergarten.
Sound like swingers.
Yeah, it's keys in the bowl type situation. So just for a bit of fun, I've thrown Sarah firstly into the full Nelson. So just a little bit of a full Nelson in the kitchen.
This is so f***ing weird.
Sake,
Just
bro.
Sarah in the full Nelson.
Play wrestle with Sarah.
Just a friend of mine's girlfriend. Yeah, it's fine. Just put her in the full Nelson, a little bit of a side to side.
Hey, what's the full Nelson?
Yeah.
It's a
hold.
classic wrestling
Yeah,
maneuver.
but explain it.
So you
Behind
slip
the
your
neck.
you slip your hands under their
Oh
arms
no, Broads.
and then
You know the
behind the neck and just kind of
Oh no! Didn't someone try to choke you out like this one time at a pub?
Johnny Barker did, but that was
right.
more just a
Sure.
stranglehold.
Sorry.
yeah. So and you just pin them down and just throttle them.
Yeah.
Throttle
Throttle them.
side to side.
Is that fun, mate?
Yeah, she
yeah.
seemed to be enjoying it.
Yeah.
I'm pretty certain she was enjoying it.
Okay.
But then to follow up from that, I said, well, that's not the only maneuver I've got. I've got something that I learnt that was done to me when I was 5 or 6. It's called walking the dog. It's another.
Is it like a yo-yo move?
Yeah, it is a yo-yo
right down
move.
and
It is. But this is different to a yo-yo.
This
move.
is different. So one person will stand up straight, and the other person will stand in front of them, both facing the same direction. And to walk the dog and perform the maneuver, the person in front has to slip their hand between their legs, and the person behind it,
Oh, yanks it.
yanks it. And as you grab a hold of that hand,
They flip.
no, you don't flip. So you can just grab the hand, and because you're in control, have their hand, and they're almost on their tippy toes.
Yeah.
You can guide them around. Thus, you're walking the dog.
Sounds like a fun game.
So I've just I've performed the walking the dog on Sarah.
I love a camera on dog's face right
Mate.
now.
Thankfully, we do.
Peculiar.
So you're following me?
Yeah.
So I've grabbed her
yeah,
hand
sort of.
through her legs and
You'll
lifted.
never walk this dog. I'll give
So
you a good tip,
we're going
mate.
to have to demonstrate to the YouTube audience shortly. So
Not after
we will
this
have to
story,
do
mate.
it. So I've grabbed her hand, and she's on her tippy toes, almost bent over as I've grabbed her hand like that, and walking, just simply performing a walk the dog.
Clothes are on at this stage.
Clothes are on, and we're just walking around the room. I've grabbed her, so she's got no other hope but to
Sounds fun.
Okay.
walk like that.
Sure.
That's all well and good, except for the fact that, again, it had been a big day. We had had a few to drink. So as we were walking around the room, at one point, I'll say that she lost her balance, and I may have let her go. And because her arm is tucked between her legs, she can't actually, brace herself.
No.
So she's like face planted into the floorboards onto her shoulder.
With one arm in between the legs.
So she's landed straight like on her face, on her shoulder.
Smooth outdoor, like indoor floorboards?
Indoor, but hard indoor floorboards.
Did you not think to let her hand go?
Yeah.
As she was falling?
Yeah. I don't really know
Or
why.
do you still have those chemicals on board?
Good point.
And so as she's hit the deck, there's a bit of a she's playing that up a bit, right? She's playing that up a bit. That's probably nothing.
This isn't fun, man.
There's probably nothing to it.
Sounds like this game.
And then she's kind of rolled over, like reaching for her shoulder, and we've thought, and there was a few of us around, like, she's just playing it up, trying theatrics. And so then I have grabbed both of her hands and
Do you
pulled
think
her
there was
up.
a bit of Jack Ginnivan about her?
Yeah, a little bit.
Instead of
So
playing for the free kick.
I've grabbed both of her hands and just pulled her up. Pulled her up.
Stop handling this woman.
So I've just pulled her up to.
Mr. Baldy.
Jesus.
So I've just pulled her to her feet, and she's still grabbing at the shoulder. I'm like, come on, like it's been 20 seconds now. You're really overplaying it. And then so we go about our business, and she sits down. And then about 2 minutes later, she's just crying a little bit, like just tears are coming out of the eyes. And
Yeah, we know what crying is,
Yeah,
man.
so we're just like, she's really committed to playing it up. And then as she's just rubbing her shoulder, she just slides the top off the top of her shoulder, just her top, just like a strap. And there's a bone protruded,
So
like
you've
a
dislocated it.
kind of
Mate.
pointing out
are
from
you
her
thinking?
shoulder.
What is wrong with you?
You've dislocated her shoulder.
So then it
Port
does
Adelaide
get
nufty.
it
It's
does get
coming
worse,
out.
unfortunately. It does get worse.
It's worse.
Speed it up, man.
So then,
Yeah.
and a few of the people that were there,
Yeah, speed it up.
And guys, that's the end of our podcast
I've
this
been
week.
looking at Brodie fiercely talking for an hour.
That's all we've got time for you.
Get hell.
Speed it up, man.
Sarah's boyfriend is a physio, as is my partner Annika. So they've gone, don't worry, we know shoulders. So they've put her on the couch, and they're just trying to like manipulate it to get it back in there, massaging it, trying to lift it, and she's calling out in some pretty severe, like it's they're trying to manipulate it.
That's the sound of pain, bro.
Yeah, they're trying to get it back in.
He's trying to tell us what tears are and now what pain is. Are you okay today?
yeah.
And so we're looking at it like it just doesn't seem to be going back in. Anyway, so we called a doctor friend of ours, and they said, all right, try this. And then we've laid it down and tried to pull on it a bit. It's still not coming into spot. So we're
Maybe
like,
an ambulance now? Or
well, it turns out it doesn't have ambulance cover. So we're like, all right, it's not an ambulance job. So we've called her mum on the phone.
She would have been wrapped.
You have to come pick Sarah up and take her to hospital.
Uh-huh.
And then they've gone to hospital,
Hospital.
Where they treat sick people.
And the doctors have x-rayed it and come back and said, unfortunately, she needs surgery and has to have 4 weeks off work.
what have you done? Broken her collarbone?
So she's completely ruptured the tendon in her AC joint. So now her AC
goodness.
joint's
You
done.
did this?
Yeah, so it's inconclusive as to how it exactly happened. It was mainly her hitting the floor.
Probably a grade 3 AC joint
It was
injury.
grade 4, which apparently is very
Grade
rare.
4.
Apparently very rare. They've never seen it. So.
Bro, I'm serious. Can you just leave the studio for 10 seconds? Seriously, just for 10 seconds.
That is unbelievable.
Just for 10 seconds.
And he tells them, how did this happen? Oh, well, she was walking the dog, and the mum goes, we don't have a dog.
Oi, is he short of a couple of cents?
He's f***ed up.
What the f***, Jonathan?
He's Port Adelaide supporter.
That's our producer.
Say no more.
Mate, for 2 years, I never knew he had this sort of shit in him.
What
And
is-
all of a sudden today,
Remember at Mum's funeral when we were telling the stories and the eulogies that Mum would always go into these long stories and throw in blah, blah, blah?
yeah.
Brodie's story needed a few blah, blah, blahs in there.
And less assaults.
Oh, mate.
me. All right, come in,
come
Brodie.
back in now.
Jesus.
Come back in.
Is she all right, man? Do we need to send her a Ferrari
Send
limo?
her a Jonathan Brown book signed by us all.
Oh, lucky
hey,
duck.
You
Hey.
could have read that book during his story.
Is she all right, man?
Yeah, she's in for surgery today, so yeah, all good.
Hey,
Are
have you
you paying for it?
apologised?
Oh, well, she'll be picking up the bill, I would have thought.
Are
Well,
you
she
sorry?
hasn't got cover.
Oh, very. Oh, yeah, I'm extremely sorry.
He's shown no empathy.
No.
No remorse.
Chilling. Like you're amused, if anything.
But it's not my fault. I think you can.
You look like Jeffrey Dahmer.
How would a judge agree with you that that's not your fault?
She lost her footing. Lost her footing.
Yep.
Like a true professional, though, he was all excited. He walked away from the incident and said, there's a story for the podcast. And a good story, like a good
Jeez.
45 minutes, just to really bash the boys' ears in.
Next time we'll play campfire sound effects and just get comfortable. There's a big fight on Sunday. Has it sold out at Marvel, the Cambosis
I'm not
fight?
sure. No, it's the last one was at Marvel, so this is the rematch. George Ferocious Cambosis, remember?
Yes.
Months ago, he took on Devon the Dream Haney. He's like a young Mayweather. He destroyed Cambosis in that fight at Marvel Stadium, but it is on Sunday. Unbelievably, there's been hardly any promotion. It's at Rod Laver Arena.
Okay.
It is for the 4 title belts.
Oh,
this is the full rematch. I'm going along. My mates, the Maloney boys, are both fighting. I'll be carrying the flag out for one or both of them.
To what song, Jonathan?
I think it'll be the Land from Down Under.
Like
Yeah,
that.
great.
Like that.
and
or
we've got-
the thong song, maybe.
Thong song, maybe.
Yeah.
But under the Man from Down Under, or the what do we call it? Down Under. Land from Down Under.
Yeah. Men at work.
I'm 2-0. I'm 2-0 as a flag bearer.
Yeah.
So it's important that I get myself up, get the boys
Superstition,
up.
yep.
Because Jason's in the co-main event, and then, of course, Cambosis versus Haney after it. Now, Cambosis just got to come out throwing bombs. He's got to turn into a war because you can't outbox Haney. Like I said, he's a young Mayweather. Unlike the Marvel Stadium clash, when he tried to box him, he just got to come out and he's got to be ferocious, just like his name says. So that's what we're hoping on Sunday. I think it'll be sort of about Sunday morning, Sunday lunchtime-ish roughly, because for the American audience on Saturday night. So I'm looking forward to that at Rod Laver Arena on Sunday. Come and say good day.
Why has it gone from Marvel Stadium, sold out, to Rod Laver? It's a bit of a downgrade.
Well, it's cavernous too, and even you need like 50 or 60,000 people in there to have an atmosphere.
Yeah, fights at Marvel suck
No
because
good.
of that. There's too much space.
Absolutely, too much space. It was flat, that fight. Now, partly because the way the fight went, Cambosis couldn't put a punch on Haney. But those smaller stadiums, Rod Laver, I'm not sure how many tickets they've sold, but get along there on Sunday, and I reckon it'll be really buzzing because Ferocious will come out and just start throwing haymakers.
Is it pay-per-view as well on KO? Or
It
whatever?
will be, yeah. It'll be
right.
pay-per-view.
Hey,
so.
do you remember when the darts were at Marvel and all the bogans
missed
got
them.
lit?
And it was a riot.
Man, they made a mountain of plastic chairs.
Yeah,
And lit them on
right.
fire. Lit them on
Wasn't
fire.
there a bloke called the Wizard?
I think they might
Yeah,
have
mate,
been.
that's the darts champion, the Wizard.
No, that's wholesome fun.
But they lit a pile of chairs on
Chair
fire.
Mountain. And then you got to ascend Chair Mountain.
That's just as good as fun as you'll ever find.
The only Wizard I knew that lit up Etihad Stadium back in the day was
Jeffrey
Jeff
Farmer.
Farmer.
Oh, yes, well done. Yeah, he took his punchline, killed him.
No, that's okay.
Killed him.
Apparently he's on the mines. Work
Is
on the
he?
mines, Jeff. Yeah. Fun to watch, dog.
He was so much fun.
He'd
One of
always
Melbourne's best
handball
forwards.
ahead of himself to get tackled.
You could argue behind Eddie Betts. Eddie Betts probably the best small forward the game's seen, like true small forward.
Whoa,
Phil Matera top 10. Phil Matera top 10. Give it to me.
He'd be there. Look, Lee,
Shea, Cockatoo,
I wouldn't have
Collins.
thought so.
Fine
Lee
name.
Matthews is clearly the best.
Yeah.
But he has sort of played midfield as well. But Jeff Farmer was unbelievable,
Yeah.
probably behind Eddie Betts. But just on the fight quickly too, I love George Cambosis. You know what he's done?
Right.
He's moved out of the family home, not talking to the family. This is
good.
as part of the preparation. Not talking to the family. He's moved into his gym. He's put a makeshift bed together.
Love that.
All he's got is a few books and
A picture magazine.
maybe a picture magazine underneath the bed and old boxing videos.
Oh, good.
How good's that?
yeah.
Like he's living like an animal.
Got it.
Just to make him hungry and just want to come in. He wants Haney's blood. So can't wait for it Sunday.
George the Thrombosis, Cambosis.
Oh, yes.
Love that.
I can
Hey,
imagine Brownie playing in a dead rubber against, say, like, Freo in 2011. Goes, unfortunately, guys, I'm going to have to move out of the house. We're not making finals, but I really want to focus. So I'm just going to stay in an apartment at Crown for the
Kyle,
next 6 weeks.
I'm moving out. Dog,
Yeah,
what is
so-
this
well,
idea, my man?
No, it's not an idea. It was more an interesting email that Mel received recently. So he reached out to a company to add some additional names to Kay's plaque, right? Because
Kay,
since
your
her
mum?
passing, my mother, there's been some grandkids born, Baker and Scarlett, and a few, which is a nice thought. I personally wouldn't have thought about it, but Mel's onto it. So he sent this email, and he gets a response. Good afternoon, Mel. As advised with my call this afternoon, the mason that inscribes memorial into granite is able to add additional names. However, the granite plaques run the risk of damage and breaking if removed. So our mason has advised that the safest way to inscribe this particular existing plaque is for him to bring the equipment and do it on site.
Yes.
As it's a very small job, the mason will undertake the work when he is next in the Sorrento area. The lead-in time for the inscription would be anywhere between 8 and 20 weeks, weather also being a factor. So between 2 months and 5 months.
Understood.
The cost for the additional wording is $570.
Competitive.
However, there is another option. We could wait until your own passing, Mel, and then have your details and the extra names added at that time. Let me know if there's any further inquiries. Mel rings me, goes, this fucking Mason bloke, he's kidding himself. I said, I don't think his name's Mason. I think he is a Mason, a stone Mason.
Stone Mason.
Oh, can you imagine? 'Cause he probably read it alone. Can you imagine the words coming out of his mouth?
Another option would be to wait until your own passing, Malcolm, and then have your details and the extra names added at that time. Isn't that unbelievable?
And mate, indestructible, Mel. So you're going to be waiting a while for Mason to turn up.
He forwarded it to me, and he obviously didn't expect me to read it out on the podcast.
Oh,
but I
mate.
read it, mate, and I pissed myself.
Mate,
I
that
thought
is hilarious.
The guy wasn't trying to insult
No,
him.
no,
but
no, no, no.
It's just a great email.
Well, it's a fair point. How old's Mel?
77, nearly.
77. But hey, Mel Brown, he'll live forever.
He will.
He'll get a letter from the king for sure.
As Kenny said, he'll outlast religion.
He will.
Back in a sec. Welcome back to Brownie's podcast. Now, this makes me very, very nervous because the only person in this studio that can't drive a manual car, right, is Brodie Pomeroy. Now, that's
What's wrong with you?
deeply emasculating.
Well, we never had a manual car growing up, so how was I supposed to learn in a manual car?
Okay, fair enough. Fair
I
point.
say when you did the license, you went practice because obviously you have lessons. You practiced in an automatic.
Yes, I did, and passed the first time. Well done, me. But,
Well, it wouldn't be hard driving an automatic.
But-
Why didn't you put it out there and decide to drive a manual on the lessons?
well, I only had one lesson or two lessons or something, so it's very hard to master manual driving in that time.
Now, why do you want to learn the craft of manual driving, which is an art, John?
He wants to feel like a man.
Oh,
Yes,
boy.
I think every adult should be able to, and especially because we're going overseas next year,
Oh.
and you're going to hire cars, and more often than not, they go, oh, we've got a manual here, and you go,
Mate.
oh, sorry, actually, I need an automatic. I don't want to have that awkward conversation. I want to be able to drive a manual.
You haven't lived until you work down the gears in an 05 Suzuki Swift going around a corner.
Oh, yes.
Mamma mia.
I've been in the back of that Suzuki Swift and been in the front as well,
Yes, you
driving
have.
through the streets of Melbourne.
In the bus lane.
With Hold On by Wilson Phillips roaring across the stereo and just hearing the crunching of the gears.
And fair to say,
Guys, I haven't been completely honest either. I can't drive a manual.
oh, you're kidding.
What's wrong with you, John?
You've let me cop it
I
for
thought
so
you were
long.
quiet over there. Mate, we are doing something. We are doing a test next
We're all
week.
going to let Brodie learn in my car. My f***ing gearbox can't handle two amateurs.
We're doing it. Brodie's driving into the city.
Mate,
Me and Dino are going to jump out. They've got a parallel park, and we're going to walk in, get a coffee. They're going to swap over, and Brown Dog's going to drive us back.
can we do it in Richmond? The
back to
city's
studio.
far too
We're
hectic.
gonna-
No, we're going to the city.
Jonathan,
We're in the
bunny
city.
hop our
I wanna
way.
see-
Yeah, it's gonna be
I
a
wanna
bunny
see
hop
hook
job.
turns. I want to see parallel parks.
If my gearbox falls out of the arse of the car, who's paying for it?
I'll
Jonathan.
pay for it. I'll pay for it.
You will? You'll pay for a new gearbox.
Well, the owners of the podcast will pay for it.
Toyota.
So,
Toyota will give me another Supra.
And fair to say that your car is possibly the smallest car that's ever existed.
Tiny car.
It's like a mini. Right?
Regularly-
So can it even fit 4 people?
Yeah, absolutely. Come on, don't insult the Swift. Regularly serviced. It's in great nick. Since that guy broke into it and stole my Jordans, I suspect he pissed in it. But apart from that,
the car
we're good.
the car would be worth probably $3,000. So the
Really?
gearbox couldn't be worth much more than that. So there we go. Next week, Dog drives into the city.
Oh, I hate this. I hate this.
Brodie drives home.
Have you ever driven a manual at all?
Nah.
Never.
I grew up on the streets of Peppermint Grove and Hawthorne, mate. My favourite, I'll give you a little hint, just a one-word hint about how I drive manuals. My favourite country town in Victoria, Stall.
He's so proud of that.
Stop it,
and fair enough. It was pretty good.
So how many times can you bunny hop before breaking
Don't
the gearbox?
say this. Don't. Wait, can dogs be in a car park? Because you sound more amateur than Brodie. I'm getting the vibe here. You've got more of an idea.
No,
than dogs.
we're going into the city. And it's legal, by the way, because as soon as you're on an open licence, you can drive whatever
But
car
we
you
also
want.
have 2 fully licensed drivers instructing us on how to drive the manual. So we'll take the recording equipment out.
I'll
is
go
gonna
as
be
far
fun
as
as hell.
saying manual, if growing up driving manuals is purely a country thing. Quairading, Warrnambool, right? Hawthorne, where'd you grow up?
Bentley.
Yeah, so that is the reason why we've never gone down the path of manuals.
I see.
Is that a fair assumption?
Absolutely.
But imagine we're in the middle of the city and we stall the car. Like there's a huge line behind us, and because how do you you have to start it
Dino,
again? Like
we'll take him up Russell Street.
Mate,
I'm
that's-
entering the city up to Russell Street. I want to see a handbrake start. Old fashioned.
No, a handbrake parallel park would be nice. but-
Parallel park would be nice. Then stopped at the Russell Street lights there.
That's a bad
That'll
idea.
be fantastic. Anyway, it's going to be sensational. Dino,
idea.
you know the city. You know it well.
I love my car.
Did you have a confrontation in the city
I'm
the
going
other
to get
day?
your shoes back.
is
I'm
that right?
going to. If I see him, I'm going to get your shoes back.
So
was
you're going to
walking-
take the shoes off the homeless guy.
Speaking of living in the city, no, you can't do that. Speaking of living in the city, I was walking up Elizabeth Street on Saturday morning. Sun was shining, and this guy walks up to me, and I clock him in my periphery, but then properly look at him. And for some reason, he's dacked himself. So he's walking at me with his trousers behind his ankles, under his ankles,
How far out?
around his
How far
ankles.
away was he when he ducked himself and then he's walking towards you?
Well, he'd already dacked himself, John. So I clocked him at 20 meters, and then I got a good look at him and thought, man, I can see naked legs, then I can see his trousers, and then a big jumper. And then he walked straight up to me, straight up to me, and then raised a finger gun and went, bang!
With no pants on.
He dacked himself, so technically around his ankles. Mate, I love living in the city. You're not getting that in Hawthorne.
Was he high, this guy?
Well, it's a fair
What was
chance,
Clarko
mate.
doing in the city?
Clarko's on a bender. That's living in the city for you.
Mate, fuck the city.
So in the space of 2 weeks, a homeless guy stole your shoes,
My Jordans.
and someone's threatened you with a finger gun.
Yeah. What? I don't know what position of power he thought he was in with
Nah.
his dacks around his ankles.
Did you flinch?
No, I just looked at it and just soaked it in.
Okay.
And then I thought, podcast.
Well, I'll tell you what, next week when we're driving through the city, we might be able to find him. We're on board with Dog.
We got a client event, so potential investors of this podcast.
Jeez, do you think they're going to be over the moon with the trade talk, with the Nightmare Saturday?
No,
and
no,
the car
no.
show? Probably not over the moon.
if
no.
you get a client on the floor at this establishment and you walk the dog,
Yeah,
That'd be
funny.
unbelievable.
That'd be. I think you're going to do that. Absolutely, you've got to walk the dog with one of the potential clients there, and get that client over the line to then pay for the new gearbox for the Swift. I mean, it's all working together.
No, I think it makes more sense to walk the brown dog in front of the client.
was it just me or was this a meeting brought forward a week? I did my diary for next Thursday.
When is it?
It's this Thursday.
Like in two
Does it always
sleeps?
In 2 sleeps.
How many
I
clients?
got that wrong.
50.
Jesus! Hey,
Would you believe there's 50 people, well,
This
50
could be lucrative for
companies
us.
that want to buy this podcast?
50 companies.
Yeah.
I don't blame them. Oh, we're a skyrocket.
this could be lucrative for us, boys. Don't it up, Brodie.
So, Brodie, who's the interviewer? Like, you normally get an MC to sort of run these panel type of
Seb Costello?
It's me.
No drinking beforehand like you did at your mate's bucks or no, your mate's wedding the other week.
The way he's been today with some of that storytelling, we may not get a word in.
That's right. My lunch will be over.
Before we go to the ads, this NRL fine story
Well,
is
just quickly,
unbelievable.
yeah, it was unbelievable. So Ryan Madison last week in the NRL Grand Final, Dog. I didn't know this was part of their rules. The Eel in the Parramatta Eels versus Penrith game, he got one of the boys in a crusher tackle, and he had an option. He had an option of taking a suspension or taking a fine. 3 weeks suspension, premiership for premiership points next year. So first 3 games, or a $4,000 fine. He's taken the suspension.
Really?
He's taken the 3 week suspension. He's just signed a $2.5 million deal. It's over 3 or 4 years, but still, he's got a bit of cash in the back pocket. He's decided to take the 3 week suspension at the start of next year.
Instead of a $4,000
Instead
fine.
of a $4,000 fine. Aaron Woods,
That's
one of the other
unbelievable.
players in the competition, said he's the greatest tight ass of all time. He said you'd pay $50,000 just to play one game of NRL.
Maybe he just wanted a longer sort of pre-season.
Mate, that's
Doesn't make sense, does it?
outlandish.
It's one of the worst things I've ever
That's
heard.
the worst. Dog, if that was your teammate, you'd be furious.
Oh, mate, of course you would be.
You'd lose a lot of respect, wouldn't you?
Unless he was going on holidays or something. I don't know. It doesn't make
Well,
sense.
no, his argument was that he had already received $4,000 worth of fines this year for things that he didn't deserve, that he should have been fined for. So he's almost like he's making a stand.
No.
What an idiot.
What a tight ass.
Yeah,
Yeah.
tight ass.
Ads back in a sec. Welcome back to Brownie's podcast. This is a bit where we call a random member of the Brownie's WhatsApp thread. Now, we're going to give this guy one more chance. And if he fucks it again, it's over.
Rick speaking.
Pickle Dick Rick! Yes, Ricky!
Ricky boy.
Oh, my God. I've been wearing this bloody phone like a third testicle all week.
How are you, brother?
Yeah, good, mate, good.
Rick, we've missed you since that fateful night at the pub. You've been a regular contributor to the WhatsApp thread, and we love your vibe, man.
Yeah, this is what happens when you live with a cat and no one else.
What's its name?
The cat,
Yeah.
Snoopy.
Okay.
Things
Oh,
are clearly
Snoopy.
going well, Rick.
In my head, this is utterly depressing. Just you and Snoopy watching Days of Our Lives during daytime television.
Pretty much so. What's
Yeah.
been going on?
How's the last couple of weeks been post-grand final, Rick?
Oh, look, just really good. I mean, I live in Geelong, so everyone's been going mad down here. People have still got their scarves on and, just as if it's happened yesterday. But listen, on a moment of sobriety there, JB, really want to say all the condolences from the group to you for what happened with your mum.
Thank you, Rick. I appreciate that, all the support from everyone and all the well wishes reaching out, especially yourself, mate, on behalf of everyone in the WhatsApp group. So
Beautiful.
I do feel I do feel the condolences
real,
for
man.
the love. I do feel the love, mate. So good on you.
Now, Rick, you've been getting a lot of hung on you for not getting a book posted to. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
All right, man.
I mean, if it isn't, it's because I'm the oldest one in the group, so like I'm an old crescent.
No, Rick.
But, and then getting this fact that you've sent books all around literally around the world.
Yeah.
And you can't get one to me. I mean, what's going on?
Well, there's been
Thanks a lot.
delays, but we're going to get you this goddamn book. There's one left, I'm told, Brody. A single one.
Yeah,
Is that right,
right.
Brody?
There's one left.
100.
You're lucky. You're in luck, mate.
They're hard to find. That was a
100 left.
bestseller, that one, Rick.
It was?
So just don't use it. Don't put it in this kitty litter.
No, Rick.
Okay?
No,
You
Rick.
read it and then put it up on the top of the bookshelf for
Yeah.
all to see. It'll be signed to my great mate Rick. Love and wishes,
Now,
Jay Brown.
see you, Rick. Love that guy.
Went down to see the old man on the weekend. It's obviously, as I say, it's been a tough few weeks, but get around the family. It's fantastic. We've had a couple of inclusions into the family now. 2 more grandkids.
Hey.
So mate, brings the number up to 10. So my sister had a baby a couple of weeks ago, Emily Mary, which is beautiful. It was Mum's favourite name, Emily.
Yep.
I'm not sure she would have been keen on the Mary as the second name, but and then young Harrison, my brother's young fella, got born the other day. But we were back home on the weekend, and there's nothing better sort of late in the evening when the cousins get together and inevitably the footy comes out, especially in the country, because these kids grow up with a footy in their hand the whole time. They're going to tagging their old man along the footy train, all that sort of stuff. 2 3-year-olds, young Tommy and young Hamish, 2 of the young nephews and nieces, in these case nephews. I love 2 3-year-olds going head-to-head for a bit of who wants it. They'll kick the kid.
Yes.
There's nothing better than when these two are just going hammer and tongs into each other. I reckon I stood there for about 2 hours, about 6 stubbies, just kicking these ball up. Mate, they were crashing into each other. Then there'd be tears and you get little Tommy back. Then there'd be tears from Hamish. It was like a blood sport. There is no greater and no cheaper entertainment than watching 2 young fellas go at it.
Especially if you're gambling on them as well.
Oh, yeah.
Come
Just
on.
like
At a young
gambling.
age.
Yeah, it was fun as hell. So little Tommy and little
Mothie's-
Hamish will be good to see.
Hey, shout out
Rip
to
it right
Mothy and Gabs. Time for...
Yeah, this was a what a world that really resonated with me. It's not an outrageous one. It's got nothing to do with death or anything like that. But there's a headline here saying vegetarians are twice as likely to be depressed than meat eaters. I thought, okay, I'm going to delve a little bit deeper here. A study of 14,216 people in Brazil, right? The Journal of Affective Disorders found that beef was the food linked to lower risk of depression. Now, we all eat meat.
I love beef.
We love beef.
Beef.
They said that people that follow a meatless diet identify of having more bouts or episodes of depression. Right?
Yes.
Plant-based diets and mental wellness go hand in hand, and scientists have found out that don't worry about socio-demographic parameters, smoking, alcohol habits, level of physical activity, self-assessed health status, body mass index, or nutrition are relevant. You need to be eating meat, in particular beef, which is good for iron, vitamin B, zinc, and protein. It helps the brain function, and it provides valuable measures of antidepressant episodes. So that makes sense, right? That you see all these vegetarians going around there, holding up meat factories and protesting and annoying people that go out for dinner. Vegetarians are a bunch of depressed.
Oh, that's a big statement.
Oh, that's outlandish.
We might have lost a few vegetarians there.
Do you understand there's just completely normal people who are hell?
You can't tell me that story wasn't longer than mine about walking the dog.
And also,
That was outlandish.
that report may have been commissioned by the beef industry.
All right. See you later.
All right, take this.